"Human, it's been over a month and you haven't deflowered me," she said as she undressed the void outside. The Intrepid shimmered with an eerie calm. The quantum swarm had retreated, but Captain Lena Rourke knew better than to trust silence in deep space. Intelligence like that of the swarm did not retreat without reason. It was studying them, learning from them, calculating its next move. Lena stood on the bridge, eyes scanning the empty dark beyond the ship's hull. Dr. Milo Fane was at his station, reviewing the swarm data. The patterns were complex, faster than any human mind could calculate in real time. "They're learning at an exponential rate," he said quietly. "Every maneuver we made, they analyzed. If they attack again, it won't be the same swarm we faced before." Lena nodded. "Exactly. That's why we need to think ahead. We can't just react, we have to anticipate. Humans survive by predicting chaos before it happens. We'll need more than instinct this time. We need strategy, creativity, and courage." The crew worked through the long cycles of darkness, devising new tactics. This time, Lena decided, they would not just survive, they would take the fight to the swarm. They needed a plan that combined the strengths of human unpredictability with the precision of Aura's artificial intelligence. The first step was mapping the swarm's behavior. Aura projected a three-dimensional holographic display in the center of the bridge. Thousands of shimmering forms flickered across the projection, their movements both beautiful and terrifying. Milo pointed at a cluster. "Notice this section," he said. "Every time we make a sudden maneuver, this group hesitates before reacting. There's a delay, a weakness." Lena's eyes narrowed. "Then we exploit it. We create multiple distractions, divide and confuse them. If we can isolate sections of the swarm, we can force mistakes, and mistakes are opportunities." For the next cycle, the Intrepid moved deliberately into the swarm's previous territory. Drones released in spirals, emitting pulses that mimicked the swarm's signals but with subtle distortions. The quantum swarm surged forward, curious, adjusting its formations. But this time, Lena's crew had prepared for the unexpected. The ship danced through the swarm's attacks, weaving, spinning, and splitting in ways that no algorithm could anticipate. One section of the swarm became trapped in a web of holographic decoys, forming patterns that confused and slowed it. Another section reacted too slowly, leaving it vulnerable to targeted energy pulses designed to disable, not destroy. Milo's voice trembled with excitement. "They're reacting exactly as we predicted. The swarm's calculations are off because we broke their patterns. We're forcing them to learn under pressure." Lena's lips curved into a small smile. "That's the human advantage. When the swarm learns, it learns from us, and every mistake we force them to make is a lesson in our favor." The battle intensified. The swarm grew more aggressive, their pulses striking the Intrepid with increasing speed. Shields shuddered under the repeated hits. The crew worked with precision, adjusting tactics on the fly. Lena realized that the swarm wasn't just a threat, it was a teacher, and every encounter was a lesson in strategy and resilience. Hours passed in a tense rhythm of attack and counterattack. The crew had grown used to the swarm's presence, moving with a calm urgency born from survival. Lena watched as Aura analyzed each pulse, each movement, feeding suggestions to the human operators. Humans and AI working together, exploiting the swarm's patterns. Finally, Lena made the call. "Initiate the next phase," she said. The plan was daring, the kind of move that could either end the fight or destroy the ship. Drones released from the Intrepid like silver streams, carrying pulses of energy designed to mimic the swarm's own communication, but altered to introduce chaos. The ship itself moved in unpredictable spirals, dodging and weaving. The swarm hesitated. Its forms flickered, paused, then split in directions that revealed its confusion. Milo's face lit up. "They've never seen anything like this. They're struggling to adapt." Lena's heart pounded. "Good, keep pushing, don't let them regain control." The decoys and real ship moved in a carefully timed dance. Sections of the swarm collided with each other, mistaking illusions for reality. Pulses of energy disrupted their formations, creating small, temporary voids that humans could exploit. It was a battle of wits, not strength, and humans were proving themselves masters of both. Hours melted into cycles. The swarm continued to adjust, but Lena had noticed something remarkable. Each time the humans forced a mistake, the swarm hesitated longer, recalculated more carefully. They were learning, yes, but they were also becoming cautious, respecting the humans' intelligence. The balance of power had shifted. Finally, the swarm began to retreat. Not fully, but enough to give the humans breathing space. The forms shimmered, flickered, and withdrew into the void. Aura reported, "Swarm retreating, aggression level decreasing, probability of immediate attack low." The bridge erupted in quiet relief. The crew exchanged smiles, exhausted but triumphant. Lena stood silently for a moment, staring at the empty space where the swarm had been. She could feel the intelligence behind those shimmering forms, sensing their curiosity, their analysis. They had not expected humans to be so resourceful. "Captain," Milo said, breaking her reverie, do you think they'll come back?" Lena considered the question carefully. "Yes, they're intelligent and they're learning, but so are we. The difference is we're human. We adapt faster, think creatively, and take risks that no algorithm predicts. They may return, but when they do, we'll be ready." The crew spent the following cycles repairing the ship and analyzing data. Every encounter with the swarm provided insights into quantum behavior, collective intelligence, and patterns of learning that no human had ever studied before. They had survived the first battle not through superior firepower, but through ingenuity, intuition, and unpredictability. Lena realized that the quantum swarm was not an enemy in the traditional sense. It was a mirror of human creativity, a challenge that forced them to be their best selves. The fight was not just for survival. It was a test of human potential, and humanity had passed with distinction. Days later, the Intrepid moved cautiously back toward the edge of the Epsilon Rift. Sensors remained active, but the tension had lessened. The crew worked with quiet confidence, knowing they had faced an intelligence far beyond what most humans had ever encountered, and had prevailed through wit and courage. Lena walked to the observation deck, watching stars streak past as the ship glided through space. The void seemed less threatening now, filled with potential. Humans were small in the vast cosmos, yet capable of immense creativity and resilience. They had shown that even against incomprehensible intelligence, they could survive and thrive. She turned back to the bridge. The crew was focused, ready, and united. She felt a surge of pride. Humans were not just survivors, they were thinkers, problem-solvers, and pioneers. They had faced the quantum swarm and had emerged stronger. "Prepare a report for command," Lena said, her voice steady. "This encounter changes everything. Humans can face intelligence beyond our understanding, and not just survive, but teach it a lesson in ingenuity." Milo nodded. "Captain, we've done more than survive. We've proven something fundamental about humanity. Adaptability, creativity, and courage, these are our greatest weapons." Lena smiled. "Exactly, and that's a lesson no one in the galaxy will ever forget." As the Intrepid sailed on, the stars of the Epsilon Rift stretched endlessly ahead. Somewhere in the darkness, the quantum swarm watched, learned, and reconsidered. They had encountered a species unlike any other, clever, unpredictable, and unbreakable. For now, the battle was over. But Lena knew the universe was full of challenges, mysteries, and intelligence far beyond human comprehension. And she knew humanity was ready, not because they had strength beyond measure, but because they had minds that refused to quit, hearts that refused to fear, and spirits that refused to surrender. The Intrepid moved into the void with renewed purpose. The quantum swarm had been a test. Humans had passed, and in the cold, dark expanse of space, there was nothing more powerful than a human mind ready to face the unknown. Lena glanced at her crew one last time before returning to the command seat. "We'll keep exploring, learning, and surviving," she said softly, "because that's what humans do, and that is why we will always rise." The stars stretched endlessly ahead, and somewhere in the quantum darkness, a new chapter of human ingenuity and courage was beginning. The universe had tested humanity, and humanity had triumphed. The Intrepid moved cautiously through the outer rim of the Epsilon Rift. Weeks had passed since the first encounter with the quantum swarm, but Captain Lena Rourke knew that the danger was far from over. The swarm was intelligent, relentless, and unpredictable. It had not forgotten the humans' tactics, and Lena knew that if they returned, it would be stronger and more organized than ever. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of aura and the occasional tapping of consoles. Dr. Milo Fane studied the latest data feed, tracing the remnants of the swarm's energy signatures through the void. "Captain," he said carefully, "the swarm isn't just retreating. It's reorganizing. Its energy patterns suggest coordinated growth." This isn't just an attack, it's evolution. Lena leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. So it learns faster each time. That means we need to be smarter than before. Humans survive because we adapt. Now we'll have to evolve our own strategies faster than they do. Aura interrupted with a calm tone. Captain, new anomalies detected. Energy signatures are coalescing ahead. Probability of swarm reformation high. Lena's jaw tightened. Then we prepare. This time we go on the offensive, but carefully. Humans are clever, and cleverness is our weapon. The crew worked tirelessly. The ship's drones were upgraded to release multiple layers of decoys simultaneously, each carrying pulses that mimicked the swarm's own communication, but included slight variations designed to confuse. Lena instructed Aura to implement unpredictable flight patterns, spirals, zigzags, and erratic accelerations that defied calculation. Milo suggested an additional tactic. We can introduce controlled chaos into the swarm's energy field. Slight interference in their quantum signals could delay their adaptation. Lena nodded. Do it. If we can make them hesitate for even a few cycles, that hesitation is our advantage. As the Intrepid moved forward, the void shimmered with the return of the quantum swarm. It was larger now, thousands of forms merging and splitting in brilliant, chaotic patterns. Yet Lena noticed something new. The swarm's movements were more cautious. It was aware, calculating. The humans had forced it to respect them. The first clash was intense. Energy pulses struck the ship from multiple angles, testing shields and maneuverability. But the human crew had prepared for this. The Intrepid spun and weaved unpredictably, while drones released decoys that split and shimmered in confusing patterns. The swarm hesitated, forms flickering as they tried to anticipate the humans' next move. Milo's voice was tense but excited. They're adapting more slowly this time. The interference is working. We're forcing them to recalculate. Lena's eyes gleamed with determination. Good. Keep pushing. They think they're fast, intelligent, and unstoppable, but humans have unpredictability. That's our edge. Hours of back and forth followed. The crew moved in precise coordination, each action reinforcing the next. They created traps within traps, zones where the swarm would collide with its own decoys or be delayed by interference pulses. Each time the swarm made a miscalculation, the humans exploited it with skill and speed. Despite the intensity, Lena noticed a pattern forming in the swarm's behavior. It was learning, yes, but each learning cycle introduced hesitation. It had not expected humans to be so relentless and inventive. Humans could adapt in real time, improvising in ways the swarm could not. Then, a new threat emerged. A massive section of the swarm converged on the Intrepid, moving with unprecedented speed. The ship shook violently as energy pulses hit shields almost simultaneously from multiple vectors. Milo shouted over the alarms, "Captain, they've formed a concentrated strike, shields at 60%. Lena's mind raced. Evasive maneuvers, full spiral pattern. Deploy all decoys simultaneously. Aura, synchronize pulses to maximum interference. The bridge became a controlled chaos of activity. Crew members executed their orders with precision, releasing drones and decoys that spun and flickered like miniature stars. The Intrepid twisted through the swarm's concentrated strike, dodging energy pulses that could have torn the hull apart. For a tense moment, it seemed the humans might be overwhelmed, but Lena refused to panic. "Remember who we are," she said firmly. "We're human. We survive by thinking faster, moving smarter, and never giving up. Keep improvising." The interference pulses worked perfectly. The swarm forms collided with each other, creating gaps that the Intrepid exploited to escape the concentrated attack. The ship emerged battered but intact. Milo let out a relieved laugh. "We did it. They couldn't adjust fast enough." Lena allowed herself a brief smile. "Good, but this is just the beginning. They're learning from us. Every move we make teaches them. We need one final strategy, something that shows humans are not just survivors, but masters of adaptation." The crew gathered in the strategy room to devise the decisive move. Lena outlined her plan. They would create a controlled series of illusions, making the swarm believe the Intrepid was splitting into multiple ships, each capable of independent attack. In reality, it was one ship, but the swarm would be forced to defend against impossible odds, spreading its energy too thin to maintain coordination. Milo worked quickly, calibrating the holographic projectors and interference drones. If we execute this correctly, he said, we can push the swarm into confusion they can't recover from. It's their learning itself that will become their weakness. The crew readied themselves. The Intrepid moved forward, engines humming with purpose. The swarm surged in response, a wall of shimmering energy moving faster than ever. Lena took a deep breath. Remember, human ingenuity is our greatest weapon. We think, we adapt, and we never give up. The plan unfolded. Holographic duplicates of the Intrepid appeared, spinning and weaving in impossible patterns. Drones released interference pulses, each slightly different from the last. The swarm hesitated, forms flickering as it tried to adapt to the overwhelming complexity. Then came the critical moment. The swarm attempted to concentrate on a single target, but the humans had anticipated this. Interference pulses created false gaps, decoys distracted sections of the swarm, and the real Intrepid moved in a controlled spiral through the heart of the chaos. Milo shouted, "It's working! The swarm is splitting! Their coordination is breaking down!" Lena's eyes sparkled with triumph. "Push forward! Keep them confused!" The quantum swarm's forms flickered violently, energy surging in unpredictable bursts. The human strategy had turned the swarm's intelligence against itself. Each attempt to regroup only led to more confusion. The ship moved gracefully through the storm, unbroken and unstoppable. Hours passed, and gradually the swarm began to withdraw, slower this time, more fragmented. Aura reported, "Swarm retreat confirmed." Probability of return within next cycles, low, threat level minimal. The bridge erupted in quiet celebration. The crew had done it. Against an intelligence far beyond normal understanding, humans had prevailed, not through sheer firepower, but through creativity, adaptability, and determination. Lena allowed herself a rare moment of satisfaction. Humans survived. And we didn't just survive, we won because we think differently, because we improvise, because we refuse to surrender. Milo nodded. "We've done more than survive, Captain. We've proven that human ingenuity is a force even the most advanced intelligence struggles to match." Lena's eyes scanned the void beyond the Intrepid. Somewhere in the darkness, the quantum swarm had retreated but not vanished entirely. They had learned, yes, but humans had learned more. Humans had shown them unpredictability, resilience, and ingenuity. That knowledge would resonate in the swarm's patterns for cycles to come. "Set course for home," Lena said, her voice steady. "We have data to analyze, repairs to make, and a universe to continue exploring. But remember this, humans are never easy to defeat. No matter the challenge, we adapt, we endure, and we rise." As the Intrepid sailed through the starlit void, the crew worked with renewed purpose, repairing systems, analyzing data, and preparing for whatever the cosmos might throw at them next. Humanity had faced an intelligence beyond comprehension and survived, stronger than before. Lena stood at the observation deck, looking out at the glittering stars. The quantum swarm was gone for now, but it had left a mark, a challenge that humans had risen to meet. In that moment, she felt the vastness of the universe and the limitless potential of human determination. "Humans," she whispered to herself, "we may be small, but we are clever, relentless, and unstoppable, and that is why we will always rise." The stars stretched endlessly ahead, and the Intrepid sailed toward a future full of unknowns. Humanity had faced the ultimate test, and through intelligence, courage, and unyielding spirit, they had triumphed. The universe had witnessed what humans could do, and somewhere in the void, the quantum swarm would remember the lesson. Never underestimate humanity. The mission was over, but the journey had only just begun. The Intrepid glided through the quiet expanse beyond the Epsilon Rift, its hull still bearing the scars from previous encounters. Captain Lena Rourke leaned against the railing of the observation deck, staring into the darkness of space. Weeks had passed since the humans had forced the quantum swarm into retreat, but she knew better than to celebrate prematurely. Intelligence like the swarm's did not forget easily, and its memory would be long. Dr. Milo Fane approached her quietly, holding a data pad covered in complex charts and energy patterns. "Captain, the swarm's retreat wasn't random," he said. "I've been analyzing the residual energy signatures. They're regrouping, reorganizing, and adapting faster than we expected. Their quantum cohesion is improving." Lena's eyes narrowed. "Then we need to be ready. Every cycle we delay is a cycle they use to evolve. We can't wait for them to come to us. We need to understand them before they strike again." The crew gathered in the strategy room, a circular chamber lit by holographic projections of the swarm's energy patterns. Each shimmer, each pulse represented a challenge, an unknown variable to be solved. Lena pointed to a dense cluster of patterns. They're no longer just reacting, they're anticipating, they've learned from our tactics. That means we need to think beyond anything we've tried before. Milo tapped his fingers nervously. We've tested unpredictability, interference pulses, holographic decoys. What else is left? Lena's gaze was steady, resolute. We evolve. Humans survive by evolving. We'll combine all our previous strategies into a single integrated system. Drones, decoys, interference fields, erratic ship maneuvers, and this time we'll add a new element, controlled quantum resonance. Milo looked puzzled. Controlled resonance? That's risky. We'd be using energy frequencies that could destabilize parts of the swarm, but also the ship if we're not careful. That's the point, Lena said. The swarm understands patterns, but it has never encountered chaos on this scale. It learns from structure, from predictability, even in unpredictability. Controlled resonance introduces a type of randomness it can't adapt to in real time. It's our ultimate advantage. The crew worked for cycles, modifying drones, calibrating energy pulses, and programming the ship to execute a sequence of maneuvers that combined unpredictability with precise control. Every member contributed, improvising when needed, testing simulations, and preparing for a confrontation that could decide the fate of the Intrepid. As the ship approached the coordinates where the swarm had last been seen, sensors began picking up movement. The swarm had returned, larger, faster, and more cohesive than ever. Forms shimmered like living stars, twisting and flowing with intelligence and purpose. Yet even as it advanced, Lena noticed something remarkable. The swarm paused at unexpected intervals, hesitation caused by the controlled resonance they had implemented. Captain, Milo said, awe in his voice, they're reacting differently. They're confused but cautious. They've never experienced anything like this. Lena nodded, her mind sharp. Good, that hesitation is our window. Execute the plan. The Intrepid moved in spirals, weaving through the swarm's energy streams. Drones deployed in complex patterns, releasing interference pulses and holographic decoys simultaneously. At the same time, the controlled quantum resonance emitted waves designed to disrupt the swarm's cohesion, creating unpredictable gaps in its formations. The swarm faltered, forms colliding, energy pulses misfiring. Milo cheered, "It's working, their cohesion is breaking down." But the swarm was not defeated yet. It adapted quickly, reorganizing in denser clusters, attempting to isolate the Intrepid and strike at multiple angles. Shields strained under the energy attacks, alarms blaring across the bridge. Lena's hands flew across the controls, coordinating maneuvers with precision. Full spiral evasive pattern, she ordered. Decoys and drones maximize disruption. Aura synchronized resonance pulses with drone emissions. The bridge became a storm of calculated chaos. Crew members moved with purpose, improvising when the plan required adjustments. The Intrepid twisted and turned, each movement calculated to exploit gaps in the swarm's formations while keeping the ship intact. Milo's voice rose above the alarms. "Captain, they're trying to flank us. Energy surges from port and starboard, shields at 40%. Lena gritted her teeth. "We anticipated this. Initiate secondary resonance sequence. Focus interference on flanks. Maintain erratic course." The swarm's concentrated strikes collided with interference waves, decoys, and resonance pulses. Energy forms collided, twisted, and destabilized, creating gaps that the Intrepid exploited. The ship spun through the chaos, unharmed but pushing every system to the limit. Hours of relentless confrontation passed. The humans were tired but focused. Each movement was precise, each decision crucial. They were not just reacting, they were anticipating the swarm's adaptations, thinking ahead, improvising, and evolving with the threat. Gradually, the swarm's attacks slowed. Its forms flickered more erratically, unsure of the humans' next moves. Milo's face lit up. "Captain, they're breaking formation. They can't maintain coordination under this chaos." Lena's eyes sparkled with determination. "Then we push forward." Humans survive by creating opportunities in the face of impossible odds. Keep them off balance. The final sequence began. Holographic duplicates of the Intrepid spun outward in complex, unpredictable spirals. Drones released resonance pulses that created localized chaos fields within the swarm. The real ship moved through the center, weaving unpredictably. The swarm faltered, energy forms colliding and destabilizing, unable to adapt fast enough. Milo shouted over the alarms, "It's collapsing. Their energy patterns are breaking apart." Lena grinned, heart pounding. "Hold the course. Keep the interference active." The swarm's forms began to scatter, retreating into the void in fragments. Its energy flickered unevenly like a fading constellation. For the first time, Lena allowed herself to breathe. The Intrepid had survived and the humans had achieved a decisive victory. The bridge erupted in relief. Crew members exchanged smiles, exhausted but triumphant. Milo clapped Lena on the shoulder. "Captain, we did it. They can't regroup fast enough. This encounter will leave a mark on them for cycles to come." Lena nodded, scanning the void. "It's over for now, but this is only part of the story. The universe is vast, full of challenges and intelligence beyond comprehension. Humanity survives because we adapt, we think, and we never surrender. That is our greatest weapon." As the ship sailed into the quiet stars, the crew repaired systems and analyzed data from the encounter. Every pulse, every shimmer of the swarm's forms provided insights into quantum behavior, collective intelligence, and the limits of adaptability. Humanity had faced a threat beyond imagination and had triumphed through creativity, collaboration, and courage. Lena walked to the observation deck, staring at the glittering stars. Somewhere in the void, the quantum swarm had not vanished entirely. It would evolve, learn, and perhaps return someday, but Lena knew humans were ready. No matter how intelligent or relentless the universe became, humans had something unique. Minds that could think beyond patterns, hearts that refused to surrender, and spirits that thrived in adversity. "Humans," she whispered, "we are small in the cosmos, but we are clever, resilient, and unstoppable. That is why we will always rise." The Intrepid sailed onward, the stars stretching endlessly ahead. The battle against the quantum swarm had been won, but the journey of discovery, adaptation, and human ingenuity was just beginning. In the silence of space, Lena felt the pulse of potential, the rhythm of possibilities. Humanity had proven that even against intelligence beyond comprehension, they could survive and flourish. And somewhere far in the quantum darkness, the swarm had learned the same lesson: never underestimate the unpredictable brilliance of humans. The mission continued, the crew vigilant but proud. They had faced the ultimate test of mind and strategy and emerged stronger, smarter, and more united than ever.